going on my house.
Yeah, that might be better.
Whoops, I just folded it up. This is what I eat on. I take it right to the living room. Should that have something under it instead of just a metal table?
That's all right.
Madeline, you help yourself.
Now you wrote in your letter that you lived in Arkville, you grew up in Arkville, and everything told me where your house was.
I've always lived in Delaware County, only when I'm in Florida.
Uh-huh. And that wasn't a farm, was it?
No.
No.
No, you know, it was right across is where Mrs. What's her name? Madeline, is it?
Yeah, Mr. Helen.
Right.
It's right where she lives.
I don't know, to me, it was always a Ben Avery house ever since I come to Arkville, but not a long time ago.
Yep.
So what did your parents do
What
when
did
you were
I-
growing up? Yeah.
I don't know. I stayed at home on Sunday. I didn't go all over the neighborhood to play with the kids, I'll tell you.
Why?
It's a family rule. You stay in your own yard on Sunday.
Oh, in your own yard?
We went to church, and that was it.
No, why would you have to stay in your own yard?
Oh,
You didn't have that rule, did you?
no.
Not at
I
all.
was then.
We were 5 miles from church at home, so we had Sunday school in the schoolhouse. We always went to Sunday school. That was a must.
Oh, yeah. I was on my way to Sunday school, and Dad came home from the hospital in Kingston, told me my mother had died. I wasn't even 5 years old.
Oh, dear.
But I went on to Sunday school church.
Wow.
That was in the church, I always had to sit on the front seat. An old maid aunt lived with us.
Yeah.
And she took us to church. My brother sat one side and I sat the other. You didn't move.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Our schoolhouse is gone. There was a 3-room school up on the hill.
Mm-hmm.
Well, pretty near across from the railroad yards.
That was this Tommy Woolborough, right back of Ricky's up on the hill.
Oh, uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And then we went to Margaretville High School.
Madeline, you never went in the firehouse then? To school? Well,
No.
what firehouse now? That's where my kids went to school.
See, that was down on the flat there.
No, it's right across, right next to the Earth House. Fire hall. The first school is where Nolan's garage was. I found that out. That was the first school.
You've been doing some history.
I did it quite a while ago, but I give up on it now. Because I have no transportation, only just do this, you know. And
Well, this is the thing. I brought the car home last spring in June. But I sold it right next door.
Yeah.
I think Bud's working on the history of this part, but I'm not sure.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, I'm sure he is, because he told me.
Bud from the post office?
Mm-hmm.
I think he is.
Because I drew him a map of Arkville, where people lived as I remembered it.
Mm.
So if you ever want one.
Yeah. That sounds nice. Sounds great.
Because Arkville's quite different, huh?
Oh my goodness. That whole, from the Earth Center, from the Earth House up to the next street, which is Church Street, that was all full in there. There was a carding mill. There was
What kind of mill?
a carding mill, for carding wool.
Oh.
And there was another mill in there. And then, of course, there was down below, across the road, was the, where they make charcoal. Acid factory.
Mm.
No. We used to go to the apple factory. We could go places on Sunday with our parents. And Dad used to take us to the acid factory. I'd go in as far as I could see daylight. I
Yeah.
wouldn't go any further.
Yeah. And my brother,
He loved
you could see it working.
not much.
No.
As far as I went.
Yeah.
And Will Beadle, he had a, you could rent a team of horses and a wagon or a sleigh in the winter. And we used to go riding sometimes. That I enjoyed.
I was on the old red heifer with the first summer run. Was it last summer? Or was it the year before?
I haven't seen that in a long time.
Oh, it wasn't the red heifer, but it was supposed to take its place, you know.
And they say the train's going to run the Arkville this summer.
Yeah.
But Big Mouth, the narrator, was telling the story. I says, you better go get your story straight. I says, you're not telling the right story of the raceway. He looked at me.
Oh,
I was with Jim, my nephew, Jim said, Dad, didn't you shouldn't have said that. But I said, he isn't telling the truth.
well, I think you should.
What was he saying?
Oh, of course, the raceway went under the railroad, went under the road 28, where the tracks are. The raceway went under that, and the water came from up above the water came up above.
Came from the Delaware River someplace.
Yeah, come
way
up.
out.
No, come up above. It's
Dry
just-
Brook, I guess.
No, it isn't. It's below where the Dry Brook stream empties into the Worcester. But there was a dam there, and the water came down to the dam. They always called it the raceway, and that's what they had used in the water they used in making charcoal.
Oh, I see.
And he wasn't telling the truth. I said, you better get your story straight.
Right there where 28 crosses railroad tracks. Over the raceway, there used to be a little shoe shop.
Oh, really?
Italian ran it. I can't remember what his name was.
And just above that was where Happy Cole had the stores where some Meade lived. What was his name? He had the two girls.
Winmead.
Yeah, Win. Because Father Garrison sold that building to Winmead. That was part of the Fairview.
A lot of people lived there. I can't remember. I think Arn Dimmick lived there, or had his store there first. So he built the one up on Main Street.
I don't know. Who built, Madeline, who built where Bessie Redmond used to live, where Nita Griffin owns now? Or Lynette Griffin is I tell you who used to be in there, Bessie Redmond, in the store. She went to school.
I remember Bessie. Madeline.
Well, that was Maud. She was on Church Street. Maud lived on Church Street with Fred Moran. No, Bessie Redmond was, I tell you who lived with him, Leo George's wife, Katie, lived with him. But I don't know who built that store. But Katie lived across the street from us, Leo did. And Leo George married Katie. I don't know, her name wasn't Redmond, it was an Irish name.
I don't know.
So, wasn't Kalari. It began with a K.
And then, you know, Jones built that store. Well,
Let's bring it up.
yeah,
Jones is bringing it up.
he had to meet my
And where the gun shop was is where John Albin had his barber shop.
that burned too.
Yeah.
So
No,
Arkville was the whole town.
And they
like
built,
Arkville.
they built another.
Arkville one time was the most promising town between here and Kingston.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Because of the railroad.
Across the railroad. You see, Arkville didn't have a railroad.
I'm going to have a piece of it now. It's delicious.
Did you make that, Brandon?
Hmm?
Did you make your coffee cake?
Mm-hmm.
Sauce is good.
That's my favorite one.
I don't cook, I don't bake, I don't do nothing.
I told Marilyn when I talked to her, I said,
Everybody says you're
I'm going to make a coffee cake. I haven't made one, I guess, in 2 years. I don't have sweet stuff.
Yeah.
Somebody says you're a television watcher. I said, no, I watch very
I don't even have television. I didn't bring mine home.
I watch the news and there's
That movement on the television bothers my eyes.
Oh, does it? Yeah.
Do you find that?
What bothers me, Madeline, I can't keep my glasses up where I can see.
Oh, I got new ones this summer after I came home, and I can't wait to go back to Cooperstown because that's the trouble with mine. The bows are too long.
Well, that's what I say too, and that's what I told Dr. Lanigan. I said, Dr. Lanigan, they're too
I have
long.
butter here. Did you want butter for your coffee?
If I can keep my glasses up there, I see perfect. Well, the first thing I know, they're down here.
Yeah.
Well, I should have known because mine are plastic, and the least bit of sun or heat, and they stretch.
Oh.
I couldn't have that kind of work.
So tell, you two met, how old were you when you met?
I went to
High school.
It was
First
high
year in
school.
high school.
I don't know when that was. I forgot.
So you met a lot of new people when you went to high school. It's all of the
19.
smaller schools.
It was the fall of 1916 because we graduated in 21.
I was in 8th grade when I first went to Arkville.
Oh, you are?
You see, Janice, we lived on the real estate.
Evelyn, you want more coffee cake?
Right.
No, thank you, Madeline.
Oh, come on.
No, thank you. Go ahead, Janice, not me, thank you. And we go to school, we go on Monday and not come back to Friday. We stayed in Margaretville somewhere, boarded in Margaretville. That's how we went to high school.
Crossroads kids a lot to go to school.
Now, your parents had to pay for that?
Oh, sure.
This was a public school?
Yeah, but you see, we were in Ulster County. That don't make any difference. Excuse me, today Ulster County, Delaware County, and Greene County all goes to Margaretville Central School. It isn't just Margaretville Central.
Well, don't you remember Berlin Chase came up from what? Big Indian?
The Indian, that's Ulster County, but we were all outsiders. And if we were entitled to go to high school, now with me, I was in 8th grade, and they wouldn't accept me. I had to pay tuition.
Because you were an outsider.
We didn't go to the high school down on the main street.
Our high school, where the old fire building is now in Margaretville, is the old firehouse in Margaretville.
Okay.
And it's just the brick part. But of course, they built the brick part on after I was out of high school.
Yeah.
And it was a wooden structure.
Uh-huh.
We didn't have a kindergarten. We only had first grade. We only had first grade in Arkville. We didn't have kindergarten.
Right.
Our Betty was out of high school, graduated at 16. She wasn't 16 when she graduated. She wasn't 16 till August. So
Janice,
she went in the first grade at 5 in Arkville.
I don't have another piece of
Which now you can't go. You gotta go to kindergarten.
Right.
5.
Right.
But our Betty didn't go to kindergarten. She went to first grade at 5.
Got
Wow.
the coffee cake got a little bit
Now,
cold.
did you board at Margarettville Central School too?
No, Margaret, she rode the B&S. She rode the Red Heifer walk. We mostly walked.
I walked. When we went to high school, there was probably as many as 10 of us some years from Arkville.
Uh-huh.
And we all met at John Alvin's barber shop, so we all walked together. If it was cold, we could stop in at Dingley Meads and get warm. Then we could go on down around that big bend and go into Purcell's and get warm.
You know, the other day, Janet won't appreciate this, but I was invited to Paul Clark the other night, which is, I don't know if you know where Paul is.
Yeah, I know where they live.
Well, I was invited to Paul Clark the other night to make the six-hand in the six-handed game of pinochle. But I said, I haven't played six-handed in a long time, but I'm very delighted I'll come. And, you know, Frank is still alive in Hancock.
Frank Purcell.
Yeah.
I saw that someplace.
He runs a paper. He runs the store, the hardware store. He still owns it. His wife is an invalid. She has to be fed.
Now, what about Brian?
Brian died.
I thought he did.
They're all dead, but Frank, no.
The girls
Georgiana,
are all dead,
Yeah,
too.
Georgiana and Mabel and Marjorie, they're all dead. Frank's the only one living. Dale Canary plays my godfather. She said one day, she said, I wonder if Frank Purcell is living. He must be 90. I said, well, I can tell you, Dale, he's living, and he isn't 90. He's my age. She said, how do you know? Well, I said, I walked home from school with him for about 4 years. And so when I saw Paul, I still thought Frank was living because he was the Glenn and Martha's 2 years ago in Florida. Because they bought Purcell Farm, Glenn and Martha did. And Frank always goes to see him. And he was in Florida that winter, and he went over to see Martha and Glenn, which was 2 years ago. So, well, pretty near all gone.
There's very few of our clients.
I don't think you ever get on unless you count in your class, but I don't count in much of anything.
Well, how were the classes set up? It wasn't just one age group in one class, right?
No, you were in the same as now. You was either first year high, second year high, third year high, or fourth year high.
Uh-huh.
Whatever age you happen to be is whether we had kids in our class where I was 16, some of them was only 12, but they was in first year high.
Now, how did that happen?
Well, it's just the way, of course, now they won't allow you to skip grades.
Right.
And just kids smarter than me, that's all.
And some of them were kids that went to school earlier. You didn't have to be a certain age on a certain day of the month in order to go,
Right.
like you do now.
Mm-hmm. Well, you two were in the same class? Yes?
It was the same year, yeah.
You graduated together?
I didn't graduate.
I didn't either.
I was only third year high when I went to work. I was only out of third year high. And I went to
But I've got a picture of all of us.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
There's a picture. And
And
I think we called it.
one of Evadine's husband's sisters was my 4th and 5th grade teacher at Arkville.
Well, that was Hazel?
Yeah.
I didn't know what grade she taught. I know she taught Arkville.
Do you want some more coffee?
Evadine,
you want
No,
coffee?
thank you. No, thank you.
So what did you do when you left high school?
I went to Spencer's Business College. I worked for a little while, then I got married.
Now, I think this is really interesting because when you told me you went and spent 5 years in New York, I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you left and went to Kingston. So did a lot of the girls leave?
Oh, a lot of them went out to college.
Irene and Gladys and I, all 3 of us went to Kingston Business College.
Madeline, Irene's dead, isn't she?
I don't.
I haven't had a Christmas card from her in a couple of years.
I don't think I ever hear from
Oh, I used to get a Christmas card every year from
her.
her.
And of course, you know, Gladys is dead.
Huh?
Gladys is dead.
Yeah, I knew Gladys died.
She used to always hear from Francis Glenn.
Well, you know who I hear from Francis Glance is through Suzanne, her daughter. They got a camp up like a Bull Run. And I've done a lot of work for Francis's daughter, Suzanne. And her name is Festow, F-E-S-T-O-W. And he is an awfully nice man, Mr. Festow, a lovely person. And he brings me pants. You know, I got oodles of them over there. My attic is full of nothing but pants. I got 3 or 4 boxes of He's in the pants factory in Jersey. And he brings me these things that they cut off in the end. And of course, they're all polyester. They'll wash very beautifully. And he thought we could make quilts out of them for the church. But I can't get anybody interested, and I'm not going to be the only one making a quilt for the church. I'm telling you.
They would be pretty to make this shape.
It would be pretty to make a brick
I remember, I think we had a brick made out of woolen clothes.
Oh, Madeline, I saw the prettiest quilt. My grandson, Billy, no, Jimmy and Cheryl were down, and Billy has bought a house, and they're finishing it an antique. His wife teaches, and Billy is the head of the sanitation department in Canada for the sewer plant. The boss died, and Billy got the job. He was appointed to it. And Diane and Billy they bought this old house. Diane said, I wanted an old house, but I didn't think that I'd get one I had to rebuild. But they did not have to.
That's what usually happens.
But so when the kids come down, we go up to Johnny Roberts up at Cashman's for the auction. And so, you know, Jimmy and Cheryl were down a couple of few weeks ago. We went up there. I bid in a doll. I thought I was getting a doll with a bisque head, and I got one with a plastic head. Oh dear! And I was dropped on me at $5. I thought the girl was going to bid again. You know, she was bidding against me all the time. And there was a lot of dolls up there he was selling that night. They must have been 12, 14.
Somebody's collection, probably.
Probably. But the dress was so dirty. Oh dear. And Jimmy did an old dress. He got a nice front, but he didn't have much to go back to it. But anyway, he bought it for Billy for a Christmas present, because they have. And they got one bedroom fixed up now. They got their own in pretty good shape, but they were fixing up the second one. And so Jimmy thought, well, that'll make a dresser in Billy's room.
Well, that chest of drawers I bought for $5.
You're kidding. I can't.
This little stand here I bought for $1. Didn't
I'm
look like
going
it.
shopping with you.
Well, you can't find them now anymore, because that's what.
And that belonged to Dr. Hubble's sister, and so it probably came down through from his family.
Yeah. That's nice.
It needs to be refinished, but it goes to my granddaughter Latford, what? A lot of my things, the kids know where they're going. I'm beginning to hand them out. You can have this and you can have that. I'd rather give them to them so I know
Yeah.
that they get them the ones I want.
Right.
I've got a long list of things. This was my mother's, and I have 11 little ones beside it. That goes to my granddaughter. First I thought I'd give it to her for Christmas. I thought, no, I'll wait till she gets her house built. This is my first embroidery. And these cups, my father bought for the first money he earned. They're not alike, just flowers, and gave them to my aunt. And at one time, my aunt lived in that one little building back of the Earth Center.
You're kidding.
It was the ice house. And Joe lived there, too.
That's who I mean, Aunt Joe.
Aunt Joe.
And then in the summer, when Mama's and Mrs. Longyear rented out the Earth Center
Yeah.
for the boarding house, they both stayed over there, and Aunt Joe got their meals for them.
What do you call it? The Fairview after when it was Mrs. Longyear didn't run it anymore. Charlie Glantz did. This is the one who's talking about Francis Glantz.
And he was the one that ran the chair factory.
Yeah, but
And I have a chair that was Aunt Joe's that came from the chair factory.
I got one down cellar too, all those pieces.
I had new carpet put in, and the man didn't do a good job of it, so I had it. But I have wondered if my family didn't want that chair, if it's something they'd like to the Earth Center.
I guess.
Well, don't give anything to your son.
Why not?
I offered Mrs. Van de Beauregard, was Mrs. Earth at the time, a piece of furniture that I had. Billy's got it now. It's a beautiful thing. Billy took it home with him to be finished, and she didn't want any part of it. So I said to her, I said to myself, well, you can go fly a kite.
Well, I think you feel that way just about like I feel about his chair. I had planned to, in fact, I had told my kids, when something happens to me, I don't want any flowers at my funeral.
Yeah.
I'd like to have that money go to the Historical Society and United Ministry. I changed my mind.
Well, I don't know, but, you know, of course, Mr. Earp himself, which I worked for him a long time, was a very, very loving man. I don't know, I just wonder sometimes what his idea was of marrying Sue. But I think, of course, as long as I was there in the house, she was the only one that I'm very sure was of childbearing age. And I think he wanted to marry her, so he married this young girl. And she really...
Where was she from?
New York.
She was from the city.
Yeah, she's in the city. Of course, he was too. I mean, he only come up here on weekends. His mother lived here the year round. His mother, I cooked for his mother for about 15 years.
Where did mother live?
Over in the woods. There where he rebuilt the house where the Lefkovics lived.
That's what next question I was going to ask you, some of the Lefkovics.
Yeah. Well, of course, he wasn't born in Earp. Mr. Earp's really correct name is Lefkowitz. Mr. Armanoff's right name is Lefkowitz.
Where'd he get her from?
Well, that's his mother. When his father died, when the doctor died, his father was a doctor. When he died, they all thought it was too much of a Jewish name. They took her maiden name, his mother's maiden name, ERPF, and she's from Austria.
Oh, okay.
So, and his father is a Russian Jew from, I think it's, what is it? I could tell you one time. But, of course, Dr. Lefkowitz was a doctor. He only come up here on weekends and during the summer. I think he's a doctor on the waterfront. I think that's where he worked, on the waterfront.
I see.
And, of course, he made money. And Armin is a Columbia boy. And when he graduated from Columbia, his mother owned 2 brown step houses, as they call them in the city, on 77th or 78th Street. I can't remember which now. It was in the 70s anyway. She gave them to Armin for collateral. He sold them, and that's how he started out with his money. He made his own money as he went along. He didn't have it. He made it himself.
I didn't know that.
Oh yes, he made it himself. I can tell you a lot.
But that house has been
And of
there
course,
ever since I can remember.
well, they first come. I heard Mr. Earp tell the story. I was waiting on the table. When they first come to Arkville to live, or his father and mother came here to Arkville. They went for the Locust Grove and boarded the Kelly. Well, I guess it was Kelly's then. I don't know whether the Kellys owned it to begin with or not.
No, I've heard
It was another...
Eldridge tell who owned it before they did. Now,
Yeah.
it might have been some of their family back.
Yeah, but anyway, there's where they went. And his father was looking for a place to build a house. And he says, my father I was 2 years old, and he says, my father carried me on his back to this point of the mountain.
Yeah.
He says, here's where I'm going to buy and build a house.
Well, you see, that was pretty near. Here was
Yeah,
Locust Grove, and they went across the Delaware, and they was pretty close.
Well, Madeline, do you know anything about the Lisettes? They were the ones that had the money and put the money in the Lisettes, and there was another. This piece of furniture I offered to Mrs. Earp was from the Lisette. They had money. There's another family in there, if I can say it. There's another family in there. The Lisettes had money. And they were French. The Lisettes were French.
No, that's evident from the sound.
Then there was another family. I think sometime it'll come back to me who they were. Because Mother Garrison told me all this. And I didn't pay much attention.
Well, this is it. We've all missed so
Oh,
much.
yeah.
And you know, when people write articles for the paper, they never put a year in.
Yeah.
And I am so sorry that Some of the
Well,
things
you know-
I can remember, but I'm so sorry as I cut things out. I
You
haven't
know,
put it here.
I'm so sorry, because Sigurd says I'm wrong, but I still think Aunt May knows the family history. Of course, it was known as Dean's Corners,
Yeah,
and after the 1900 flood, I think it was the 1900 flood, that everything was washed away, except this big building up on the corner there, and they decided there was Noah's Ark, they'd call it Arkville. But at that time, this Dean was Uncle George McMurray's father, grandfather. Frank Dean was Uncle George McMurray's grandfather. And his mother, Uncle George's mother, was born in that house, and she knew all this history. And Aunt May had it up here, but she didn't have it on paper. But Sigurd says, I'm all wrong. Well, I says, I may be wrong, Sigurd. I said, you can go to the courthouse and find all the information you want. But I says, I think she knew what she was talking about.
well, you know, Eva retires next month. And she'll go to the courthouse and look it all up for you.
Well, of
She
course,
worked for Judge Curtis for quite a while, and that's what she did. My oldest daughter.
Oh, I see.
She lives the other side of that house.
Uh-huh.
When you come around the big turn there, that's their home.
How long have you been living in Delhi?
Huh?
Where did you live when you were married?
Arkville.
Oh, you did?
I was married
Oh,
down
so
there.
you lived up in Arkville one time, didn't you?
Then when we went to Keeping House, which was the 19th of May, I think, we went to Arkville because Howard worked for Sheffield's.
Uh-huh. Okay.
And we lived there until, let me see, Eva was born in 24 in January, and Sheffield sent him to South Korea that November.
Yeah.
And we lived there for years and years.
Oh, I see.
Then it got to be, well, we went to Florida winters after he retired, and it got to be too much for me to go up downstairs. Oh, I miss that attic and that basement.
Yeah.
And so then we stored our furniture one winter because our apartment wasn't ready. We had a brand new apartment up at Willard Creek.
Oh, uh-huh.
And we lived there, I don't know, maybe 6 years.
Uh-huh.
In 76, we bought this.
Uh-huh.
We moved here on Columbus Day and was here 2 weeks, and then we went to Florida for the winter.
Oh, uh-huh.
That was Harold's ambition when he got to retirement. He was going to go to Florida to live before what? We had 2 winters in Florida. That's all.
Well, that's the way it goes. You never know. Now, Howard was very lucky. He was 96 when he died, and he had all these winters in Florida, and he looked forward all summer to it.
Yeah.
There was one winter I knew I couldn't take care of him down there.
Yeah.
I'd have to stay at home, and I thought if I got to stay at home, why not stay here?
Mm-hmm.
This is newer and nicer and larger, and I had the 2 bedrooms.
Mm-hmm.
So lots of these. They're all, every Christmas card about I get somebody says, oh, I hope you're going to be warm enough.
Yeah.
And one I got yesterday, they said they wasn't going to have to come north to stay home.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's something everybody has to think about.
Yeah.
Well, if it's your home here in the north, you want to come back again.
Yeah.
Because Martha would give her right arm to come back. Then we'll come.
That's the way it goes, you never know.
Well, did you get homesick at all down there? No.
Too many things going on. I
Yeah.
even took my church membership down there and I've left it there.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I don't know anybody who goes to church down here in Arkville. They're all younger people, Eva's age group.
You know what, I was so taken, I don't know what they call it, but all those wall hangings they have in the United Industry over there, they're beautiful.
Yeah. Those I saw them during the induction ceremony.
I don't know.
Advent.
Yeah, right.
But
Uh-huh.
they, I didn't know what to call them, but they're beautiful.
Well, this is the Advent season.
Or is it? Or is it the Stations of the Cross?
No,
That would be something.
that's some other.
I think that, I don't know whether we'd have them in our church or not. I don't know. I never heard of the
Oh, we had lots of banners down
the
in
station
Florida.
crosses.
They had
But I think
banners.
it all is apparently the same thing, practically all the same
Yeah.
thing.
Uh-huh.
Down in
I went to Methodist church down there.
I don't know what they call it in the Catholic Church, but in our church they call it the Holy Trinity.
Yeah.
There's the one in the Sacred Heart Church down there. Mr. Earth bought that from the church.
Oh, really?
And of course, you know, the church is supposed to be his church, the Sacred Heart Church, but it isn't. He said to me, I was over there one day, I'll never forget it. I was back in the living room and he came in. He and Mrs. Smith had been down to see about the church. Mrs. Smith was his interior decorator. And he said to me, he said, Madeline, have you seen a picture of the church? I said, yes, I did, Mr. Earth. And I said, I think it's wonderful that you're building the church. And it's Mom. He says, Madeline, they call it my church, but it isn't my church. He says, I'll tell you what I did. He said, I give $5,000 to the diocese. And he said, I told them if they would return it to me, I'd keep reinvesting it. So they had money to build a church. And he says, that's what I did. But he says, it isn't my church, it's their church. Because the money comes from the people. $5,000.
Oh.
He wouldn't take the honor
Yeah.
of being his church. He wouldn't do it.
Well, of course, the Catholic church there, the Arkville used to be in what, was a 40
Where the Thompsons is, you know,
Yeah.
that part on it, that was the first Catholic church they had around here, with exception, there was one in Roxbury, that was just a chapel, you know, in Roxbury. And they went to church there.
They had to go so far, all the Catholics, to get to church.
Yeah.
It was only, in
Well-
Roxbury, it just had the chapel.
Yeah.
And of course,
Well, there were anyway a lot more Protestants.
Well, you see, after
Well, yeah,
all
that's-
these
that's the
immigrants came in from a lot of those countries, they were all Catholic,
Yeah.
Polish.
and isn't it strange now? You'll see all of these people, ahead of all these cooperates and all, they're all SKI or
Yeah,
DICV or something else. They're all foreign.
Polish or Lithuanian or...
They're all foreign extraction.
Yeah.
The whole thing, General Electric and all, the head of it is
Everything.
And what's getting on my goat, this lady friend says, that's getting on my goat, is the mobile oil coming in. They bought up all of Monkey Wharf's mobile oil.
Yeah.
Well, look what they're doing to the country. It's all going to be corporate, all these big corporations are going to rule the world.
Sure.
They're going to rule everything.
Well, now, Carrie and Harry, they had a piece of land they picked out that they'd like to buy. And they could get it at a price they thought they could afford. It's way back,
Yeah.
up Bell Creek. And Eva went with them one night because she's a notary public. And this one man didn't want to sign the lease so they could go across the electric white wires. He was going to change his name. Now this is bothering me. These people that come over from the old country, but their name that they bring with them is not as good as some other name.
Yeah.
They're born this thing, but they pick up another one.
You just wonder, some of them, whether it's legal or whether it's done because they have been in trouble someplace and trying to cover up.
No, I
Recent, or weren't some of them changed when they got off at Ellis Island because they didn't know?
Well, a lot of them were changed because they didn't have a spelling name.
Right. They Americanized everything. Yeah.
But I was talking, when my plumber was here the other day, cleaning my furnace, I was talking to him. He's Holland Dutch.
Oh, really?
And he says it's bothering him, too.
Oh, really?
And I think his folks came over.
I'm a blue-bellied Dutchman, too. I'm a blue-bellied Dutchman, too.
A blue-bellied Dutchman?
Yeah, my father always said that he was English and a blue-bellied Dutchman.
What does that mean?
Well, he's from Howard. Dutch.
Blue-bellied.
Yeah, blue-belly, I don't know.
Well, in that last quote magazine in there, there's a family down in Pennsylvania, Lancaster, I think. And they commissioned somebody to do them a quilt.
Yeah.
And the picture of the quilt is on the cover of the magazine this time. And they expect to raise thousands of dollars to go towards rebuilding the Statue of Liberty.
Oh, well, of course, they're rebuilding this now. I had to laugh. The little Mikey, my great-grandson, come home. He says, Mama, I'm building the Statue of Liberty. He says, I give the teacher my pennies today.
What? Well, that's a nice way for them to be told, because it shows that they really know they're doing something.
What do you call it? Mikey's a smart little monkey. He called me up. He says, Nana, you know what I've been doing today? I said, I have no idea, Mikey, but I hope you've been a good boy. He says, I was down reading to the kindergarten kids. He's a first grader.
He thought he was good, didn't he?
He told me what they couldn't. He'd pick up a third grade book and read it.
Well, I'll kids do that way.
Yeah, he reads like a little housefly. But I said, well, that was good, Mikey. What story did you read it? Oh, he says about Santa Claus.
I have a little boy next door who is 12, bring my mail, because I would have to go up the highway to get it. And I said to him one day, I said, you getting ready for Santa Claus? Isn't nobody like that? I says, don't you tell that to the little Oh, these kids.
Well, Madeline, I think I should ask you some questions about quilting.
Well, I'll go through the quilt book and I'll let you ask questions.
The reason I looked at it, I knew I was going
I'll go look at the quilt book.
Oh, but you can also join in if you don't feel like you have to
Put
leave.
your cents in.
Yeah.
Well, Janice and I had a great visit when she was over at my house. I don't know how much quilting she got in.
Oh, she's already done you.
No, but really, Everdeen, you don't have to sit in the living room.
Well, I'll look at this. Go ahead.
All right.
Don't bother
Hand
me.
me her plate, and then I'll take hers.
Oops, I'm sorry. Would you like some
my
more?
first quilt is the one that's on the doll's cradle in there.
Oh, I didn't see that. Well, let me
Oh,
look
you
at
didn't see it?
Why did you make it? How old were you? Or when did you start quilting?
Well, I took that down to the Historical Society one year for our quilting visit. And I think I put onto that I made it probably soon after I was 5 years old. And
You're kidding.
they're long, narrow strips there on all one side even. And this old maid aunt, I should say,
Yeah.
she used to sell fabrics for Van Wagners in Kingston, and they sent samples, and then people picked out their material from the samples. And that's what that is some of those samples.
Oh, that's wonderful.
And then I have a big quilt, my brother and I each pieced one, and they're tied.
Your brother did also.
When a quilt was a quilt instead of having to be quilted to be a quilt.
A quilt was a cover.
And I don't know. Probably I might have been 10. Because that would have made him 8. And we tied them. And I laid mine out to show you.
Oh, good. Okay. Why did you start? Did your aunt teach you?
I think to begin with, I probably did the little doll's quilt.
Yeah.
Soon after my mother died, and they didn't know what to do with me.
Yeah. So
And the other one, probably, we started those probably in the winter, whether we cut the blocks or not, because they're just square blocks, or whether somebody cut them for us. And that probably was another reason that we did that, to keep us from our mischief, as
Yeah.
they say.
And
And then I don't think I did very much quilts until I was married. For a few months we lived with Howard's mother, and it was winter, and she got me going. She was piecing quilts, so I decided I needed some for my home. So
yeah.
I went down home one day and found some material down there, and she gave me some. I pieced quilt tops that winter, and in the spring after I went to keeping house, we started housekeeping in what was a hotel there at Arkville.
Oh, uh-huh.
And so we had great big light rooms upstairs that I could put my quilt frames up and just leave them.
Oh,
They were
uh-huh.
all summer.
Uh-huh.
And Mother would come down. I got a few minutes. I came down to work on the quilt. My neighbor would come over. Well, Will hasn't come for lunch, so I came over because where we lived, we could see over to the creamery. So we knew when the men were coming to eat.
Uh-huh.
And I quilted, I don't know how many quilts that's on. I guess I tied a few thousand.
Yeah.
And then I hadn't done too much more until we moved up to Arkville,
Yeah.
or up to South Korea.
Right.
And my neighbor there, she did quilts. So we worked at quilts all summer and all winter.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I've lost one of my quilts.
You lost one?
Yeah, a basket quilt. Now, I don't know whether I gave the Earth Center after my induction a basket quilt or not. You know what's down there?
I don't think we have any quilts.
Yeah. Of course, when they asked us when they were inducted to bring a quilt or something, and I had made this beautiful turkey wall hanging from a postcard.
Yeah.
And I took that roll. In fact, the Arkville girls asked me to bring it.
Oh, uh-huh.
And somebody was in here one day with Thanksgiving season. She says, "Where's the turkey?" And I said, "That's Helen's." And she had had this card given to her by her mother-in-law. And she told me, "This is your beautiful turkey, Mother. Could you give me one?"
Yeah. But I think maybe Evadine knows.
They were.
Yeah.
There were some quilts over there. The first year we went, there were quilts over there, Janice. There was, I tell you where they hung. One hung on the wall that you go out on the stairwell. There was some quilts over there.
Was one on the basket quilt?
That I don't remember.
Well,
One of them was that is who I had.
Yes, I got it. And they really played it on me that year, because they asked me if I would make these, and then these were our board members who wore these. Then they put the beads in
No,
tomorrow.
mine was real flowers, Madeline, I'm sure.
I don't think so. I think they were all like Evadine.
Well, I don't know, I haven't got mine anyway.
Well, you know, I just left mine in the refrigerator, and that's what turned out. I thought maybe Janice hadn't seen these.
No, I didn't think to show her mine the other day.
Got the best of it, didn't it?
Yep. I know, I never thought of it.
I'll get that undone.
What Quilters Guild do you belong to? Or do you belong to?
Historical Society.
DCHF. Okay.
I started that.
Oh, you did? Oh. Well, tell me about that.
Well, bicentennial year. John Ray president then of the Historical Society. Anyway, whoever was president, I think it was John Ray, asked me if along with all the other things they was having, if I would do something on quilting.
Uh-huh.
And I didn't have too many that came to my group. That was all right. They were interested. And that was one thing they wanted. They wanted to do quilt.
Uh-huh.
And of course it was no time for me to go far. So I said, all right, next spring we will do quilt. And that's what started it. I had not too many the first year. Number 6, 8, maybe. And then I had a few more. And we always met at the Historical Society until this family, and she didn't know and she wanted it.
Who, the new person who's running it? Yeah.
And I don't think she cared about quilts. She said one day when I did something, well, you should be making something out of patchwork. Well, I'm not ready to do it.
Who was head of the society?
Merle Hope was the president at that time.
You talking about Linda Norris?
Huh?
Linda Norris? Or is it
Yeah,
someone?
Linda.
Yeah.
Just up there now. And so we got so we met around different homes. I had them here one fall before I went to Florida. Different ones up on and brought something for the lunch.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about the phones that you tell about. I got all my good glassware and good silver and all my good dishes.
Yeah.
And we had the girl from Summit. We invited her.
Oh,
Anna Mae.
Anna Mae.
And Marie.
Anne Marie. You know, she gave a, she was at Roxbury. She's a lovely person, and she talked about the Amish club. And little did I know that the Amish religion started in Switzerland, and she's Swiss. You know.
That is my symbol in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's
I got the same one, Janice, but I never got to show you.
Well, you know, I began,
there.
after Janice wrote that letter, I began to wonder if it was here because Eva has a symbol collection.
And she hadn't got it yet.
And
Wait for you, huh?
I had said to her before I went to Florida last year, you better take my symbols home.
Yeah. What's this one?
Well, I can't tell you.
I got my great-great-grandmother's symbol.
Do you?
It's got no top to it. It's got a hole.
I had angels, I gave that to Eva.
And I got my grandmother's symbol. Don't know where to go tomorrow. I got
This
it
friend from Maine gave me this one.
Oh, isn't that pretty?
You can't sew with it.
No, it's just decorative, but it's really pretty. See this, Ebony?
And this is I said to Eva, I guess we better put it away. That is the one I use for all my quilting.
Yeah.
But
What is it about this one?
You know that's been good too.
Yeah, you can tell.
You
Yeah.
know, they have one now, Madeline. It's got a bump on it.
Yeah.
They got them down the Village Homemakers. I've been going to buy one, but I never. I
A
didn't.
bump on it for what?
On the end of it, it's got
I
a
told
piece
her
on
where
the
this
top.
one came from, but do you know the life for me? I
The Toledo one.
She's got it written down. Because I had several old ones from home.
Uh-huh.
And I gave her all of those. I gave her my little sterling.
Uh-huh.
I had one small, probably piece of quilts from
Yeah.
it. And,
So you didn't quilt all right, you learned really young, but you didn't do it consistently all through your life, no?
That's what
well, I worked.
Uh-huh.
I worked waiting on table in the winter and in summer for 4 years. I went to camp,
Uh-huh.
boys and girls.
Uh-huh.
I went to Girl Scout camp 2 years, I guess, as camp director, but otherwise it was all co-educational camp. I was in New Jersey in the state 4-H camp there 1 year as director.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't planned to be. I'd heard I was to do something else. And the guy that was the director the year before got called in service.
Uh-huh.
So he came back up and he said, I got a surprise for you. We wonder if you'd take over as camp director, because I've got to go in service Uncle Sam thinks he wants. And I did it. Then I was in Pennsylvania 2 years at a settlement house camp,
Oh. Uh-huh.
which I enjoyed that. It was hard work.
Uh-huh.
His
What
kids
is
were
the
from the
settlement?
waterfront in Philadelphia.
Oh, I see.
But the thing is, how I got that job, I had known the head of the settlement house. His wife had been their camp director for years, and they were retiring. And she said that they figured that the last year that they were working, somebody else should be camp director so they could help me go.
Uh-huh.
I lived in an old stone house. That was my
Wow.
office. We had a caretaker that lived there the year round. I had two Negro cooks.
My goodness.
Oh, the world. I had her, but she was little. She wasn't as big as I am.
Yeah.
She had cooked. I cooked for Camp Linden for 30 years, I think she said. And she never would come and sit down at the table.
Mm-hmm.
And her birthday, we gave her a present. They came out and had Nancy sell my house that year. And those two of the boy counselors, Prittner, pushed her in the dining room. She was going to the door.
Wow.
She couldn't get back up, so she had to go. But she just fell. Oh, she.
Now, was this all before you were married?
No,
Oh, uh-huh.
this was, let's do the girls, 56, 57. Girls are grown up. In fact, when I started to do camping, I went to Shankerton.
Yeah.
Your daughter down at Shankerton.
Yeah, my
Where?
Forage
camp.
Forage
Shankerton.
camp. Yeah, Betty, when she was in 5th grade, I think, she went 3 years and she was camp camp counselor the
Yeah,
second year
what
and the
did
third
she do?
year.
I've forgotten what she did do.
She was camp counselor the third year. And I think it's Don Brainerd's wife that she had such trouble with. She was so homesick. And Betty said, Betty was only about 11 years old or so.
Mm-hmm.
Betty says, I got her in bed with me. She said, I didn't know what to do with her. Finally, I got the kid so she wasn't homesick.
Probably because I was a counselor down there and I knew everything. Well, she probably got a little special attention.
Yeah.
She loved it.
Oh, I loved her too.
She loved it.
What kind of stuff did you do as a counselor?
Well, when I started in, the first year I went to camp down at Shankerton, I was 4-H leader. And the Kiwanis Club here in Delhi always gave so many memberships for 4-H leaders.
Okay.
So that's where I got my start.
Uh-huh.
Then the next year, I had taken recreation, and I enjoyed it so much. So the next year, the girl that had done recreation didn't want to come back, and they offered me the job. Of course, I took it in a minute. And I got $5 for my week's work.
For a week's work.
Yeah. I can tell you more. Then I had gone to state leaders camp. If otherwise up on Field Lake. And I met a lot of the other county agents, and they knew how enthused I was over camping. So, don't you want to come to my camp and help us out with recreation for a week or so? And I got to be the traveling camp counselor. And the Greyhound bus had to put up with me. I think they hated to see me come. Why? Because I had so much luggage.
Oh, I see.
I had all my camp things, and I had sleeping bags, and my clothes.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And first, I think the first camp I went to as a counselor outside of Shankerton was Boone County.
Yeah.
And I did recreation. And all the special things, like flag raising and all that.
Uh-huh.
And then I went to Watkins Glen.
Uh-huh.
And that was 4-H camp. These were all 4-H camps.
That's a beautiful place, Watkins.
Yeah. And we were up above the Glen. Oh, I just enjoyed it.
Oh, you know, I can't.
I was there for a good 10 years.
Wow.
I got to be camp manager.
Uh-huh.
The county agents had charge of the camp. And they rented it out when they weren't having 4-H camp to other groups.
Uh-huh.
And I remember that you'd be interested in it. We had a Presbyterian camp from Binghamton. We had a woman agent from Ithaca. And I wrote to Alita, and I was Presbyterians. My red shorts and ministers. I got the biggest kick out of that. They were red. And she said, oh, darn, one day I had a money, he came to visit me. So I said, well, it doesn't matter, because he's already seen me in my room. But,
You know, one thing, I've tried to climb the glen, but I can't. I get so far up and I get so dizzy. I can come down all right, but I cannot climb that glen. I've tried so many times.
yeah, we always came down. I don't know, maybe I went up once.
Harold, the last time I went up, Harold says, well, I'm not going to bother with you anymore. Coming up, oh, the glen is beautiful.
Oh, it's gorgeous. If you've never been there, you should go.
That's where Nat got.
And really, the next
Poison
part is to start at the bottom.
Yeah,
and go up.
and go up.
But it's quite fun.
But I can come down all right, but I can't go up.
We used to go down to what they call the punch bowl.
Yeah.
And take either our supper or you meal. Didn't matter. Carl, he just maybe say to the cook, Peter, we're going down to Glen this morning. She wouldn't know it maybe until after she had her food cooking, but she'd get already the pots and he'd loaded in his car, and the kids would hike down there.
Mm-hmm.
We go for breakfast one morning. We went for breakfast and we hiked down into Watkins Glen, up through town, and took a boat ride and had our vespers on the lake.
Oh.
Very.
That's beautiful.
I was there for 10 years as manager, plus all these little extra weeks I've been there different times. And we had a Cornell freshman camp.
Uh-huh.
I look forward to that before that was a lot of work.
What?
They brought their own counselors.
Uh-huh.
And some of their kids had to do certain things, but it was always my lot to wash all the dishes.
Oh.
So they used to say, well, if we don't find you wash your dishes, we find you going over to the restroom or the plunger.
Oh, no.
Because you see, we had more than one camp that's really set up for.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So this is what they all said. They treated me about it. I loved it. We never knew. Carl was the spur of the moment person, and you'd do one thing, maybe next night you'd do something altogether different.
Yeah.
And we kept all the costumes in my room. I had a great big room in the kitchen. That's all. And when I get ready to go to bed after the camp, everybody had costumes and they were scattered all over. A great big trunk.
It's like Betty last year, a year ago. Lenore was in Camelot. She was the leading lady in Camelot. And I said, well, here, Betty, take all these old Eastern Star gowns down to the school and put them in the, room, custom room. She says, no, I won't, because it won't be there next year. But she says, I'll take them home, and I'll take them down when they need them.
Yeah, that's great, I guess. I gave Bill Campbell of college, he does dramatics, I guess, and I gave him a lot of hats and things that I thought he could use. He said, oh yeah, we don't have hats.
Yeah.
And I was 4-H leader for 34 years.
My goodness.
My desk in there was my prize from Spiegel's. Only cost me with the shipping charges. One year I got a paper to fill out for an application for leader of the year for state and national.
Yeah.
And I thought, this is one I got. This is my prize.
That's great. That's wonderful.
They, this paper, Delhi paper came, interviewed me one day, and she wanted a picture, and then she had a spill in the paper. When I heard it first, it came on television. When I first heard it, I was sitting on the floor in the living room painting woodwork.
Yeah.
Would be, But that was
Well, and what bat do you like the best for your quilts?
Huh?
What bat do you like to sew the best for your quilts?
whatever I can buy.
I like Monkey Ward's the best I've ever found. So,
I usually buy mine downtown, or when I'm in Florida, we have a cloth grill down there, and they have the bats. They get them in great big rolls, yards and yards and yards on rolls, and they have it 3 different ways.
well, I don't know what weight this was. Somebody gave Nancy one, and she shared it with us. But I put it in a quilt, but I didn't like it.
Well, now,
I'm
any that
sorry
I've
I did,
had,
but I don't know what weight it was.
any that I've had from down there have been nice, and I said to Eva, I wish you could bring some of them home. I've never used mine that I got when we burned up it.
Well, that's a miserable thing. That won't wash it. You can wash it.
And I've got a quilt. I'm wanting to get quilted for Carrie. She's my granddaughter. I only have one granddaughter. And I'm going to use it in that. Them 2 grandsons. And they're all, take whatever you can get in the quilts. They all love quilts.
Yeah, I bet.
Well, you know, some kids don't want anything to do.
No, my kids have all got one. The funny part of it was when Nat came down, Nat says, Mother, what you going to do this winter? I said, well, I'm going to make 8 quilts, 8 crib quilts, leave them behind me. So I was showing her one, Butch, or Larry, Beth's Butch, we call him Butch, his name is Larry. Larry's wife is going, they have a baby sometime this coming year. So I said, I guess I do the blue and the pink and whatever happens to be. And little Hal spoke up and says, which one is mine then? I said, I don't know. I said, maybe you won't get one.
Yeah, 8 quilts to do, but they're pretty when they're done.
Oh, I put together here the past week, you know, Gary, that's our boy. The doctor thought he had rheumatic fever, and he kept him in bed for 2 months, quiet, very quiet. So we didn't know what to do with him. My Alice Avery, you know, I grew up, Gary loved my Alice. He always called her my Alice. And he and my Alice would cut, but she'd cut black, he'd sew them. So I put them together the other day. I got a little square about this wide, about as long as the table. I said, that I'm going to put that together and you can take it up home. And when the baby's there, you can cover him up.
What you should do is use that for your center, and then just fill it in with fabric. So you have that just by itself. It would mean a lot to whoever gets it, I think.
Yeah.
But I got one. I got 4 done.
Well, you're coming.
Yeah.
Well,
But I haven't gotten quilted.
Oh.
And you know what I thought I could do? Put the 2 of the same size on the big frames and quilt them both at the same time, and because I gotta have my quilt tight. The girls over at the center won't put the quilts on tight. They put them on so loose.
Well, you know, I have several sets of frames. I have my big ones, and my son-in-law put me up all the brackets there, so I keep the 2 sets up there.
Yeah.
Then I have 2 more sets. I've kept them. My father did things for me. Pop did things for me.
Did you ever see that one used? Madeline?
I don't think I like that thing.
I don't know.
So I can do little squares, my wall hangings and things, with the 2 little sets, and those I always took
I
part
don't
of.
like hoops very much. To work on hoops.
But since I've had all my eye surgery, it's hard for me to work on quilt frame. So I do mine on my lap as well.
Oh, you do?
I have such a job keeping the back straight.
Well, I don't
I
think
get puckers in it and everything else.
I don't think my family worries too much. Now I've got a small, and I was going to make some more small. I haven't got them done. In fact, I hurried to finish that, and I didn't get it quite finished to go to county fair one year.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a beautiful, beautiful wall hanging.
I'm going to show them to you. I got them all laid out in.
And there's a beautiful wall hanging in American Quilters magazine. You only get 4 a year. That's in Kentucky. I belong to that.
I don't like this new modern stuff.
You know?
I don't like the piece. I like the apple cake, but
I
I don't like the
can't
cookie.
see the apple cake.
Well, I'm afraid I was working at a brown block last night, and I just heck this thing kind of hold it up.
It's too hard. I have a pill to do for my granddaughter. When she was married, she went down to World's Fair.
Yeah.
That's where they went. And I said, now you bring me home a World's Fair logo, and I'll make you a pill. That is what I'm starting New Year's Day.
Oh, really?
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Which she went in, what, 82?
Uh-huh.
And one of my friends enlarged it.
Oh, uh-huh.
So a nice big fat pillow. Oh, that's nice.
So you mostly make pillows now? Just
My family's got more pillows than they know how to do.
Yeah, right.
Well, Eva brings the rest of my things home from Florida. She's got some more to bring.
Oh, dear.
But
Do you quilt every day?
for a good 6 months or more, I had a church. There was something the matter that I couldn't get a hold of that needle and control it. Well, when I went to the doctor, she said, I think you had a mini stroke.
Oh, really?
And I didn't tell him that I couldn't manage the needle. I could hardly still snap some eyes. And just before Thanksgiving one day, I thought, oh, I'm just going to see if I can manage that needle and do some things for Christmas. You know, it hasn't bothered me very much last night. For some reason, whether I was overly tired or what, I had quite a job hanging on to that needle and getting it where I wanted it.
Yeah, uh-huh.
But I have a feeling that that was what the mini stroke had done.
Yeah.
So when I go to the doctor's tomorrow, I'm going to ask them if it could have been possible. I thought I certainly had so much to be thankful for Thanksgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Because now I've got something I can do evening.
What, the quilting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I could read. But like if I need my glasses don't stay up.
Yeah, right. To lay back.
And I can play songs. That was, I do one while and do the other, so I had a change. But that's what I've done evening.
But now you can quilt again.
Now I can work on my quilts and I'm so happy.
Yeah. What do you think it is about quilting that's so appealing?
I don't know. To me, it's relaxing. If I am tired and I pick up my quilts, whether it's patchwork or whether it's a quilting, you forget about other things.
Mm-hmm.
You just wrap yourself into what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's important. Now this tablecloth I made for my table in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And did you notice the scarf up there? I made some of those last year for Christmas. That's mine.
Wonderful. The whole house is quilt. Photograph everything.
That covered bridge picture is my grandson's, but one of them isn't married, and this is his. One of my friends took postcards of the Bowman Bridge. She took its art class, and she painted that.
Mm-hmm.
I had taken down one year my covered bridge books, that one that what's his name? I did. And when she brought it back, she brought the picture. She said, I think this picture belongs to you. So she gave it to me.
Oh, wow.
I told Michael, I said, well, I'll keep it until you have a place for it.
Mm-hmm.
I love it. It's just perfect.
Mm-hmm.
But everything I have is covered bridges. Goes to him.
Oh,
I've got a lot of towels, and I have covered bridges over my house, too.
Uh-huh.
I am sorry, we didn't name quilt group, covered bridge group.
What does it mean?
Historical Association
Oh, okay.
Quilters.
Oh, okay.
And when we started it, Mr. Hout was our president at that time, and we decided, after talking it over with several people, that there would be no dues.
No what?
No dues.
No dues?
For
Yeah.
membership.
Uh-huh.
But One requirement was that they belong to Historical Society.
Oh,
Now, I don't know whether they've kept that up.
Oh, so you're not active in that anymore?
Well, I've been Florida every winter,
Right.
so you see, I haven't been.
Yeah.
And that one year I had to stay home. I didn't miss a quilt meeting. I hired somebody to come and stay with Howard. One day a week. All I needed that day
Yeah.
was something
To be out
in
on
1 minute.
Do you like quilting with other people as much as quilting alone? Or
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't
I
matter?
enjoy the company with other people.
Uh-huh.
And I made friends with several people in our church in Florida that do quilt.
Uh-huh.
And I'm going to call Evelyn about one, and I cannot find the pattern she gave me. So I have to write to her, and I'm going to ask her if she will do me another one.
Uh-huh.
They were, Evelyn,
Yeah.
she makes these quilts, and they're reversible. They're one print on one side and another print on another side, and they're six-sided blocks. And she does each one, and then she sews them together like this, and they open up, you see, this way. And she can use either color that she wants. If she wants this color, which is a darker one, or she wants this one, which is a lighter one. She's made a lot. Now, the thing I can't remember is whether she had quilted each one in a little ways from the edge. So I'm going to write and ask her to send me another pattern. Maybe Eva will find the other pattern. I think I must have packed it. But I don't know. If they aren't quilted a little ways in from the edge, I can't see how they call them quilts any more than they call that cathedral window a quilt.
Well, I call the cathedral window just a throw or whatever you might call it. It isn't quilted in any way.
Well, that's it.
And
They are.
Of course, you
That's
know-
because you're experts.
what?
That's because you're experts that you worry about that.
No, it isn't. It's a beautiful piece of work. And
But
it's
the
done
quilt
nicely.
was put in
It's a
as a
quilt.
quilt.
Well, you know, of course, I don't know what the trouble was with the Quilters Hall of Fame. You know, that Mrs. Hinckley, the one, she said she never quilted. She always tied the quilt.
If I had 11 kids, I wouldn't either.
Well, to me, it's a quilt. She made a quilt. And that's what the quilt, I don't really know what the Quilters Hall of Fame is all about.
Well,
If you can-
according to my notes that I took, I think, at the first meeting of the board,
Oh, you were on the board?
I was on the board. That's the reason I asked Marilyn. She's been on the board all these
But
years.
she's still on the board, isn't she?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Well, and there was nothing said that they had to be quilted. Now, some of these others that have come along since
Yeah, I know there's a big disturbance about it.
stirred up that stink, and I think it's too bad, and I have a pretty good idea who one of them might be.
Well, I don't know, because, now last year, I don't think it came up in our quilt club at any one time to elect somebody to Quilters Hall of Fame from our club.
But did you write to Minister Marksbury?
No, I haven't. I
Oh,
will.
that was a beautiful eulogy that he had for Ethel Hinckley. And he brought in about all her family and all the things she did. She lived on a farm, a big
Yeah,
and they admire her. Their kids grew up to work.
Well, listen, you know, my neighbor's sister, Ida Eberts, married Roger, the one that just died of leukemia this summer. And Florence Nolan, that's down Nolan's wife, she lives just across the street from me, down in the Huffman house. And she said she had.
Oh, she had, we went down there in September one day. Eva called. The daughters didn't, they'd be home. So we went down in September for beer. And she had just finished piecing a top for a quilt. Now, probably for one of these great-grandchildren, not the great-great, somebody was getting married. And she had,
Well, that was, Roger's daughter just got married this
it was
Idaho.
probably to be hers, but they all got quilts. But this was gorgeous. She used a log cabin pattern with the center square wasn't a red like this, it was a rosy red.
Yeah.
And then she had a pretty gray blue, a deep one and a light one. And the blocks were 15 inches. It was beautiful. I asked the girls the day of the funeral, when they came up, they'd bring me a little piece of the blue.
I wish I'd brought what I've got a challenge to make this one.
And he had used a lot about the quilts that she had done in that eulogy. And that's the reason I thought, if he still had it, or maybe he could remember to tell you.
Yeah, I will get in touch with him.
I thought,
I appreciate that.
oh, I thought that was, I said that Eva on the way home, that beautiful eulogy I ever heard.
So you knew her pretty well, huh? Yeah.
Well, she went, most of her family belongs to Blue Church.
Right.
And she'd always gone to church. She brought her kids up to go to church, even with that big family. They took time to go to church.
Yeah.
No.
And do you have a favorite pattern?
Yeah, I like patchwork.
You do?
It's my favorite.
Yeah.
I like patchwork, but I can't do patchwork very good. Especially because you have to buy it.
And I never do mine on a machine. I did some corduroys for the grandchildren.
Oh my goodness, I never heard of that.
And I pieced those on the machine and quilted them on the machine. They were single bed size, so they could use them in the living room as well as on their bed. And I got some more corduroys that I'm going to try and get together after Christmas. Somebody's must be getting pretty well worn out.
Right.
And I want to get the corduroy used up. Something more out of the way. And those I didn't put a batting. And I pinned each block, because I used just square blocks. And I pinned each block in the center, and I took it right on the sewing machine and stitched it in the ditch.
I see.
And it wasn't hard. I had to roll it to get in the center. To get it under the head of my machine. But
I use a machine so and my eyes bother me. Not as much as my eyes as my fingers. I haven't got coordination in my fingers.
there she goes.
I haven't got good coordination in my
Did
fingers.
you hear what I said about
No, I wasn't listening.
Well, it was a good 6 months and maybe more. I couldn't work on my foot.
Well, I don't know, Madeline. I haven't come to a conclusion yet. Whether this eye business is what's upset me so, but I've been awfully upset all summer.
But the doctor said, before he even examined me, he says, she's had a mini stroke. He could tell by the way I spoke. I speak a lot better.
Yeah.
And I knew something was wrong. I know when it happened. He was surprised that I did, but I said one afternoon I didn't feel good. And I said, I know something is wrong. This is when I was in Florida. And then, of course, I was downstairs through all that, over 100 weather. I said if I didn't get home that week, I didn't think I'd ever get home. I kept saying, take me up the road to the hospital for many days. I just had that feeling I couldn't stay much more.
No, I haven't got coordination with my fingers.
But Eva has worked for the Woods for quite a while, head of their office. And the man that was over her, his daughter, had to go to Boston for surgery. And he came home one day a week. But otherwise, she was left in charge. And she couldn't get away. To begin with, they planned to come down last February. And what happened? She called, she said, Mother, February's too early for you to come home. And we'll come in March this year. I'll take my day. she called and she says, I can't tell you. John's got to be in the house. I didn't know the girl was going to live in that week. And I said, that's all right. Well, I didn't see this was the way it was. She thought it would be just that month while it went on. It was 22nd of June when I got home.
Wow.
8 months I was there. And we hired a man in the fall to drive the car. They'd been to Hawaii, so she couldn't take them in the time. She usually went down with me in the fall after I got so I didn't go to that distance. And the other daughter came back in the spring, even when holidays were on. So we did nothing with the play. She's been paying around. Well, in fact, I turned it over to the girls. We did it for her died. It had to be done sometime to settle the estate. And that was the time to do it. So since I came home, she's been paying the rent and telephone. And that's no small amount. But she said, then I know I've got a place. And then she's going to bring home my things. We're going to sell the place. It's the girls.
What did you do when you weren't able to float?
Well, I guess I took a nap every afternoon.
Yeah.
That
Was it depressing or anything like that?
It was one way to rest my eyes. Because I can't see out of this eye. I have glaucoma, and of course, that kind you don't know that you got it. So it's like, and then I had glaucoma surgery here, and finally I had it implanted. And that's the reason I'm so fussy about this.
Madeline, did you say you had glaucoma and an implant? Which eye?
I had glaucoma in both eyes.
I got glaucoma in my right eye.
Do you use drops?
Twice a day.
Hemoptic?
Once a day. Twice a day.
Twice a day.
One drop twice a day.
And my doctor in Florida, he was a wonderful. He's the nicest person. I liked the doctor I had at Cooperstown.
Who
They
did that
had
at
went to
Cooperstown?
college together. And when I needed that glaucoma surgery in the thigh, Dr. Farrell happened to be down there, and they said, well, Madeline's got to have something done with that eye. And that was long towards spring. Dr. Farrell says, well, let her do as she wants to. You can do it, or you ship her home to me.
Yeah.
But Dr. Farrell is not a Cooperstown, and I was so unhappy when I went back there in August. We never yet got that bill straightened out.
Oh, really?
Between Medicare and the insurance insurance
It's the
company.
biggest rigmarole.
Down there, I got my Florida bill straightened up in no time. Medicare was very prompt.
I got them.
Sent you everything you needed to go to the private insurance company.
I got a letter from Medicare last week one day. I don't know. I can't figure it out. I guess the last bill that Dr. Lonergan sent in, he accepts Medicare payments. And
They take what Medicare will give me.
yeah, well, Dr. Lonergan evidently charged $40 because the bill was $40 and I owed to the doctor $6 or $7. They allowed so much.
Yeah, 80%.
And, well, I don't stop to think of the 80%.
Well,
I don't know.
that's what
I don't
they
know
say.
my mathematics would let me or not.
Oh, but you stopped and figured everything.
But anyway, I said, well, to heck with it. I said to Betty, Dr. Lonergan has got to send me a bill. I'm not going to send any money to it. Because I tell you, when I went to Dr. Schwartz for my glasses, I asked him, I picked out a frame. And this, of course, is what I got. And I said to the doctor, I said, how much will they be? How much is the charge? He says, well, I don't think, Mrs. Garrison, you'll have to pay anything. Anybody's had eye surgery. I don't think your glasses will cost you. If they do cost you anything, it will be a very small amount. So here about 6 weeks ago, I got a letter from Medicare that Dr. Schwartz charged him $120 for the glasses, And they were allowed 96. I owed the rest of it. Until I get a bill from Dr. Schwartz, I'm not going in there and pay.
This is just the way they do it up here.
$96 is enough for a pair of glasses, and what he does.
Now, your doctor's bills go to Medicare and Bingham here. And your hospital bills go to Syracuse. Even charge for 2 weeks to
Well,
get out of that Syracuse office.
Oh, well, that's awful, because we had that experience.
No, we never have any
But
trouble.
with Irene, of course, she filed a claim here from Arkville Hospital. I don't know where it went, but of course her Medicare is from Brooklyn. Do you think she ever got it straightened out?
Well, Eva says when she takes me over to the eye clinic next time, she's going to take all those papers with her. She's going right down to the hospital. But when I went in to get my glasses that day, because I needed new frames, that's all. And he said, the frames are this much. And I said, well, then how much will a lens be? Because I only really had to have one good one. And he says, oh, that includes the lens. Well, I don't know. And I said to him, I said, I don't know how you're going to enter this to Medicare, but I said, Dr. Bates always put on glaucoma, and it took care of my
Right.
We got a note back that paper glasses. And he said, there's 2 stories.
Yeah.
I don't know. I sat down one day and wrote to Dr. Bates. I was so disgusted with the whole mess. I said, Eva, if there was anybody else that I could go to, that I had any confidence in, I would go. I wouldn't want surgery done.
Yeah.
Of course, now I got the doctor this time that I wanted. But I have a feeling, because I got the doctor this time that I wanted, that Dr. Bates had told Dr. Farrell. And it got back to Cooper's. Maybe not. Because I said to Dr. Bates before I came home, I said, I'm going to ask for, names are hard to remember. And he said, good, he's good. And Dr. Farrell had known him and worked with him, and he knew what he could do.
Yeah.
But I just have a feeling I could not feel comfortable
Yeah.
having do something to my eye. This is just the way I felt. I can't afford, I don't think, to go back to Dr. Bates. I'd have to have a place to stay, and it would be several days. And, but that the doctor was one person that I hated to give up, and I hated to give up my church group.
Yeah.
I feel at home. I shopped around until I found a church I felt at home in. I went that one Sunday, and I said to old schoolmate of ours wandered with me, and I said to Mom, I like this church. I like the people. I like this church. And that was one. And then
Yeah.
but and I like the daily paper. I don't have a paper.
Oh,
I
I
have
know.
that only on the stuff.
I miss the paper. Well, if I get the only on the Star, it's a day late. If I get a New York paper,